The views and opinions expressed in this podcast are simply that, opinions. All are presumed innocent until proven otherwise in a court of law. Sensitive topics are discussed. Discretion is advised.
This is Court TV Live, and I'm Judge Ashley Wilcott. Today, we are bringing you the top 10 biggest moments from 2025 here on Court TV. Moments that stood out regardless of the trial in a year full of headlines, from shocking verdicts to courtroom drama, plus the true crime stories that captivated audiences nationwide. We are counting down the most unforgettable scenes that define 2025. So let's begin with number 10, the shocking arrest of American gymnastics icon Mary Lou Retton back in May for a DUI. Now, she was 16 years old when she became the very first American female gymnast to win gold in the all-round competition in 1984. But police body cam shows the former gold medalist in a different light. Take a look.
Okay, leave your phone there. I'm going to run you through some field sobriety tests, okay?
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I know. But we have to.
Seriously? All right.
All right, let's walk over here to this line, okay?
All right. I'm on the balance beam.
I want to be clear from the stop and on his own. Be 10 6 for a few minutes.
You should be pretty good at this, huh?
Yeah. I mean, upside down.
Yeah? All right. So what I want you to do is put your feet together, hands down to your side for me, okay? I want you to stay in that position. Do you have any head or back injuries?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Oh, God.
Anything that would prevent you from driving? Metal all over?
All over.
Okay. What I want you to do is using your eyes, I want you to watch my finger, okay? Don't move your head. Just follow with your eyes, all right? Do me a favor, don't move your head, okay? Keep your head right there. Do me a favor, keep your head in the middle. Just follow with your eyes. Keep following.
Yeah.
Okay. Follow my finger.
You're making me feel like I see it.
You see it? Okay. This is just a test. You just keep following it. Okay. Keep following my finger.
Look at your beautiful blue eyes.
Oh, well, thank
Sorry.
you. It's okay. Take your right foot, put it in front of your left on that line, okay? Okay, go ahead and get in that position for me. Right foot in front of left. Put your hands down to your side for me.
My God.
All right, staying in this position, okay? I'm going to explain the rest of the test, all right? So don't leave that position. You're going to take, nope, go ahead. Yes, ma'am, really.
Okay.
You're going to take 9 consecutive heel-to-toe steps, and it's going to look like this. You're going to go 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9 while counting out loud and looking down at your foot. When you get to 9, you're going to take a series of small steps, and you're going to turn around, okay? Then you're going to take 9 consecutive heel-to-toe steps back. It's going to look like this. 1, 2, 3, all the way to 9, okay? I did 3, you're going to do 9. While doing that, I want you to keep... No, don't start yet. While doing that, I want you to keep your hands down to your side.
Okay.
I want you to not jump, don't step off the line. It's going to be heel to toe. Touch your heel to your toe, okay? And I want you to count out loud. I know. Okay, well, let's heel to toe, okay?
2,
Keep your hands down to your side.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Okay.
Come on.
I want you to take your either foot, okay? You're going to lift it up, and you're going to count 1001, 1002, 1003, 1004, and so forth until I tell you to stop, okay? It's going to be about approximately 6 inches off the ground, all right? You're going to look...
Higher.
I don't need it any higher, approximately 6 inches. Hold on, wait till I begin. I tell you to begin.
God.
You're going to look down at your foot, and you're going to count out loud while doing that. Don't hop around, and don't lift your arms for balance, okay? Wait till I tell you to begin.
Oh, my God.
You may begin whenever you're ready.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my God.
Keep trying.
5, 6, 7.
Keep going. I'll tell you when to stop.
Oh, come on.
Keep going.
1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
I didn't say. I said 1001, 1002 till you stop. No. Here, I'll go through it again. Then we can try it again, and I'll explain it all again to you. Okay?
No,
So what you're gonna
you
do
don't need to explain to me.
is you're gonna lift your foot up approximately 6 inches off the ground. Okay? You're gonna count 1001, 1002, 1003,
Okay.
and so forth until I tell you to stop. Okay? Do you understand?
I'm sure just call.
Okay.
If you have anything for me, then it's all.
Leaving your hands down to your side. Wait till I tell you to begin. Leaving your hands down to your
We're
side.
under arrest right now.
I'm-
Big charges, but some are NCIC.
Leaving your hands down to your side, okay?
I'll let you know when it's
I'll tell you when to begin, all right? You may begin.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Do you need oxygen first?
Maybe.
Okay, get some of your oxygen real quick.
Do you have your driver's license on you anywhere?
No, I've got a passport.
You don't even have a license?
No, it's in Texas.
Yo, your driver's license through Texas?
Yeah.
But you just don't have it with you?
I don't have it.
Okay, that's...
It's valid.
All right,
236 very much. He's advising it's through Texas.
keep going until I tell you to stop. Count out loud for me.
9 seconds? Come on.
I didn't say 9 seconds. I said till I stop.
Dude, please.
Okay, it doesn't say. Well, actually,
Oh,
it was
my
a
God.
driver's license that expired in 2015.
No, it's not.
Okay,
It's
well,
mine.
we'll figure that out in a second. I mean, this is the last time I'm gonna have you restart the test, okay?
Oh, my God. Really?
Yep, you're gonna count out loud until I tell you to stop, okay? You may begin whenever you're ready.
No, I can't do it.
You can't do it?
Maybe a little shot. No, I can't do it.
Okay, that's fine. I understand. You've got oxygen. You've got other stuff going on. I understand.
What was your last name?
Kelly.
Kelly.
Brett
Yeah.
and
or
Kelly.
Taylor.
Can you call Gino?
Maybe. We'll see you in a little bit.
236 very much.
Come on. I just came to get my nails done.
Okay.
Stand by. I'll have to look back. I wasn't able to get it right whenever he did.
Oh, my God.
Don't go down to the driver's seat.
No.
Don't give me
No.
Don't want that.
I'm gonna go ahead and shut your door, okay?
It's fine.
Hello.
No, I'm not going to blow. They say don't blow.
Well, you're required to blow, or else that's an additional charge.
Whatever.
I'm just letting you know.
Whatever.
You refusing to blow?
Yeah.
Okay.
You guys are crazy.
236. Got 220 got out there at 1906. Call field sobriety.
Can I get my phone?
1923.
Please?
She's refusing to blow.
You gonna refuse?
Yeah.
Okay. How was the field sobriety?
She failed all of it.
What?
You failed all your field sobriety, ma'am.
No, I didn't.
Yes, you did.
Girl,
Oh, my
210,
God, I did not. I did not.
Can you have EMS come out?
Come on.
15%.
Come on.
I'm feeling too good.
I'm going to come
You can call him later.
now.
Negative.
You don't want to call him now?
I want to call him now.
No, that's not how this works. Sorry.
Oh, my
Go ahead and put your hands around your back for me.
God. No.
Yeah, you're under arrest.
Yeah,
Miss
you're under
Michelle.
arrest.
Michelle, Take a deep breath. This is not...
No, I'm not.
No, don't be hitting. Come on. This will be fine.
Oh, my God.
No.
No.
Miss Retton, please don't.
Oh, my God.
Do you have any reason that your hands can't be behind your back?
Never. Yeah. I
What?
got
What's that?
8 surgeries on my shoulders.
Okay, put it in front
Okay.
then.
Thank you.
We'll be, like I said, we'll work with you if you're cooperating.
Okay, let go of your hand.
Are you kidding me?
I
No.
have no choice, Miss Redden. That's
And
our
I'm
job.
in West Virginia.
I know.
No, you don't know. Oh my God! Gia!
It's
They think I'm drunk.
Are you?
No!
She just came from getting her nose.
Exactly.
All right, we want to welcome in our guest for this hour to discuss. Joining us now from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, criminal defense attorney, former district attorney Matthew Mangino, and from Cherry Hill, New Jersey, criminal defense attorney David Gelman. Thank you, gentlemen, for being with me. I have so many questions, but David, let me start with you. What was your initial thought when you heard Mary Lou Retton? I mean, I remember watching her win that gold, that she'd been arrested for DUI.
I thought it was so sad. I mean, and then you look at the video there, like you can see that's Mary Lou Retton, just, much older, but she sounded exactly like she did when she was getting the gold medals back in the Olympics. I got to tell you, look, when you know how it is, Judge, these tests are made to fail, these field sobriety tests. However, she did not do well at all. And I know that she had oxygen on and she's had many, many surgeries. That really might come or came into play, I guess you would think. But at the end of the day, the police did a really good job of keeping everything calm, cool, and collected. She didn't do well at all. It was really a shame to see that, especially with the oxygen in her nose the whole time. I mean, nobody wants to see that happen. But overall, I thought they did a really good job, and it sounds like she probably learned her lesson.
Oh, I'm going to come back to you about the oxygen. So hold on to that thought and remind me I have that thought, because Matthew, I want to ask you this. Viewers watch this and some of them said, how did she fail? For instance, she walked the yellow line like a balance beam. She counted from 1 to 10 as she did that. Some of the things she said, I can't do. Do you agree that she absolutely failed that field sobriety test as the police informed her?
Well, she certainly did, Judge Ashley, as many of us know who've worked in this area. I mean, simply not following the directions is failure. So one of the things that the police officers want to make sure that you're able to do is to understand what the directions are, follow those directions. As you watch this, you see that she started when she wasn't supposed to start. She walked with her hands out rather than by her side. She tried to hold her balance. She wasn't counting. All those things factor into whether or not she passed the field sobriety test or not. So whether or not she walked a straight line at some point really isn't the issue. Did she follow the directions? Did she understand those directions? Was she able to make good decisions in terms of carrying out those directions? And those are all factors in field sobriety tests.
And I would love to hear from viewers when they hear you say anybody knows that practices in this area not following the directions in and of itself can be a failure. A lot of people are going to be very, very shaken when they're pulled over. So I would argue some people can't follow directions because of that, not necessarily the drinking, but she is charged with DUI. So let me come back to you like I said I would, David. The oxygen. So we have learned that she has a rare pneumonia, and I think that's why she has the oxygen. What about the fact, does it have any argument for her as a defense that she had the oxygen, she wasn't allowed to keep it on during the test, and then he would say, do you need a hit of your oxygen? Yes, I do. Is that any type of defense for her?
I mean, I'd be arguing it if I was her counsel, that's for sure. Yeah, if she had the oxygen tank on while she was driving, and then when pulled over, they brought her out of the vehicle, she had it on. Not allowing her to have it on would definitely be that. When you have field sobriety tests and they ask you, do you have any disability? Like, did you have a surgery on your legs or something like that it makes you so you cannot walk or you can't do certain tests? Obviously, breathing is probably a big part of these tests. So I would definitely argue that would be something that the police probably did not do the right thing on, even though I thought they did a pretty good job of otherwise. I would definitely say, yes, oxygen was something they should have allowed her to keep on.
All right, Matthew, last question on this particular case. They say don't blow, and she later says, attorneys have all said, you don't blow on a breathalyzer when you're stopped with DUI. Agree or disagree?
I disagree. Certainly if it's your first driving under the influence, because most states, like the state that I practice in, Pennsylvania, have diversion programs. And so actually refusing a blood test or a breathalyzer, the penalty can be worse than actually being in a diversion program for DUI. So I tell my clients, when they ask that question, take the blood test or take the breathalyzer, because the penalty, if it's a first offense DUI, is often less than the penalty for refusing the test.
All right, gentlemen, stand by. We have so much more to cover after this break. Coming up at the number 9 spot on our list of the best moments of the year.
Defendant not guilty or guilty? So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all?
So excited. Couldn't have asked for a better outcome.
We waited for this, and justice is finally served.
These amazing supporters. No one has fought harder for justice for John O'Keefe than I have, and my team. Thank you.
We all know the Karen Read trial had many unforgettable moments, but which one made our top 10? We take a look back at the trial that captured the nation. Up next.
The Court TV podcast will return.
There was no collision. There was no collision. There was no collision. You folks are the last line of defense. The last line of defense between an innocent woman and a system that has tried to break her.
She made a decision about herself. In her Lexus, she drove away. She was drunk. She hit him, and she left him to die.
The trial that divided a community, ignited social media, and put the criminal justice system under a national spotlight. That is taking our number 9 spot this morning on our list of the top 10 moments of 2025. After weeks of courtroom battles, Act 2 of the Karen Read trial ended with a shocking verdict and an unreal scene outside of that courthouse. Coming in at number 9, the chaotic Karen Read verdict.
On murder in the second degree, what say you? Is the defendant at the bar guilty or not guilty?
Not guilty.
002. What say is the defendant at the bar not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
Is not guilty or guilty about that charge or the lesser included charge?
Lesser included.
Thank you. Specifically, number 5, operating under the influence of liquor by operating a motor vehicle with a blood alcohol level of 0.08 or greater. Correct? So say you, Mr. Foreman?
Guilty.
So say you all? 003. What say is the defendant at the bar leaving the scene after accident resulting in death? Defendant not guilty or guilty?
Not guilty.
So say you, Mr. Foreman? So say you all? All rise.
All right, still with us, Matthew Mangino and David Gelman. Matthew, let me start with you. I mean, talk about the crowds cheering, screaming, pink shirts in support of Karen Read when that verdict of not guilty on those top charges came back. And then they start chanting, free Karen Read, free Karen Read. Have you ever seen anything like this before?
No, and I don't think anybody else has ever seen anything like this before. It's not supposed to work like this. You're charged with a crime, a serious crime, and certainly your attorneys are going to zealously defend you, and they should. But to turn into a rock star because you've been charged with a crime and the community believes that you're not guilty of it is really extraordinary. I mean, to think about having a rope line every morning to the courthouse so that she could shake hands and wave and sign autographs of her supporters as she walked in the courtroom is like nothing I've ever observed in a criminal trial.
I would agree with you. I have not either. David, let me ask you, weigh in on that, but also I want to ask you this specific question. If you were one of her attorneys, how hard would it have been when those not guilty verdicts were read to not really react and be overjoyed, because what a win for the defense. We did see that she was hugged by Alan Jackson, and the other attorney you could see was trying not to smile.
She's like the Beatles kind of coming to town. It almost looked like, with all these rallies for her. She is a rock star, which is kind of crazy. It's like the Netflix effect. That's what I call that. But as for her attorneys, I got to tell you, if it was me, I don't know if I'd be jumping up and down, but I'd definitely be showing a little more emotion. And I guess that's just me, but that shows that they are that good. Alan Jackson, obviously, he's probably one of the best defense attorneys in the country. I think we all can agree on that by now. And so what they did, it was really like the perfect storm. They had a great legal defense, they had a great defense team, and they had reasonable doubt. And then they had Karen Reed, who just brings all that together. Put it all in one. I'm telling you, that is why this is one of the top moments of 25.
I agree with you, and it's unbelievable to watch. I want to watch a little more, though, together, because I want to talk about that. What do you think the reasonable doubt was? Let's listen to a little bit of the prosecution's closing argument and what they argued should convict her.
Did I hit him?
How could that have been?
I don't know what else could have been. It was howling wind. I had YouTube blasting on the stereo, and I thought, did he somehow try to flag me down, which was the reaction I was hoping to garner as I slowly pulled away from the house. Did he come out and maybe trip or bend over to pick up his cell phone, and I ran over his foot, and then he passed out drunk? I mean, I didn't think I hit him, but could I have clipped him?
All right, Matthew, so the prosecution played that clip during their closing argument where Karen Reed says, could I have hit him? She didn't even know if she hit him or not. So what do you think stood out to you as reasonable doubt that the jury must have hung on to?
Well, I think one other component of this case that we haven't talked about yet is the shoddy police work. So obviously, there were problems with the way this case was investigated. There were problems with the way the police handled things. There were problems with specific police officers who were involved in this investigation. That all adds to reasonable doubt. If you can plant in these jurors the idea that, hey, they didn't do a very good job of investigating this, they rushed to judgment, or as the defense tried to portray as well, that maybe this is some sort of conspiracy to cover up things, then you're planting those seeds in every way that you can chip away at beyond a reasonable doubt, you're working toward a successful defense in this case.
And some of the viewers weighed in that they lived in that area or knew of corrupt cops, as they described it, and said, listen, we all know there's corruption within that system. So maybe that played a role. We don't know for sure. But David, tell me, please, what did you remember as, wow, there's some reasonable doubt the jury might have picked up on?
Look, Judge, our job as defense attorneys is to muddy the water, right? To make sure that, look, you might have this here, but you really should be looking over here. And I thought the defense did a really good job at showing that, look, the cops here, they may have had an ulterior motive. Now, did they or did they not? We will never know. But I agree with Matt. There was a lot of police work that really was questionable. And the defense did an outstanding job at bringing that to light. Now, when you bring that to light, that right there is reasonable doubt. Well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you test this? Why did you go interview her after the fact? All these things during the trial, during the second trial, that they were able to bring up, that showed that, look, there may have been an ulterior motive. And if that's the case, if you can show that, that's reasonable doubt in a nutshell. So they did a great job, and I thought the jury did it, probably came up with the right decision.
Yeah, I think the defense was masterful in that case, as proven by the not guilty verdicts. Gentlemen, stand by. This is one of my favorite shows. Coming up next, we're going to reveal number 8, the moment that had Court TV viewers talking this year. But first, here's a big moment that just missed the cut, but it was too good to leave out completely.
If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders. So
and would you
talk to your advisory counsel during the break. And
you don't need to yell at me either.
Okay?
Yeah, you are, and you do not need to talk to me that way. I'm very courteous. I'm very courteous to you.
No, you have been nothing near courteous to me during the course of these proceedings.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. Today, we are counting down the top 10 best moments from 2025 on Court TV, from shocking verdicts to true crime stories that captivated us all. Number 8 comes to us from North Dakota, where back in March, we saw a shocking verdict in the toxic roommate murder trial for Nicole Rice. Now, Rice was charged with felony murder in the death of Anita Knutson, who was found stabbed to death in June of 2007. At the time of the murder, the 2 women lived together, although friends said they had a strained relationship. One friend even told police that they recalled Rice telling Knutson, one way or another, I'm going to get you out of this house. During closing arguments, the state focused on Rice's inconsistent statements to law enforcement after Knutson's death and her alleged confessions to her friends and family. Rice's defense attorney refuted those claims with a sharp critique of the investigation, describing it as a flawed cold case review. Take a listen.
We know the window was not the point of entry or exit. Anita's blood was in the cut on the screen and nowhere else on that screen. Only in the cut from the evidence that you heard, which means that it was made with the knife that was used to stab Anita.
This is 2025. This isn't Perry Mason in 1950. And it's a media circus because they can put her in that chair, and these people helped them do it. And it's garbage.
After nearly 5.5 hours of deliberations, the jury finally returned with a stunning verdict that caused quite the commotion in the courtroom. Here's our number 8 best moment of 2025.
State of North Dakota, in District Court, County of Ward, North Central Judicial District. State of North Dakota plaintiff versus Nicole Aaron Rice, defendant. Criminal number 51 2022 CR 00421. Verdict form. We, the jury, duly impaneled and sworn, find the defendant Nicole Aaron Rice not guilty of the information dated at Grand Forks, North Dakota, this 26th day of March 2025.
Is this the jury's verdict? Can you calm down a little bit, please? Is this the jury's verdict? Okay, the juror nodded, jury leader nodded. Ms. Sorgan, do you wish the jury polled?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Sand, do you wish the jury polled?
No, sir.
All right, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much for your service. We appreciate the time that you've allotted for this case. You are now excused. My admonition no longer applies to you, so you can talk about this case if you choose to do so, and you can also not talk about the case if you choose to do so. Please rise.
After the jury acquitted Rice in the murder of her roommate, the now married mother embraced her family in prayer outside the courthouse in North Dakota. Still with us, attorneys Matthew Mangino and David Gelman. All right, David, those attorneys were unable to withhold their emotion. Not only did the courtroom erupt, they jumped up and cheered. What did you think of that reaction?
I mean, again, I probably would have done the same thing. And I look back at it, the jury deliberated for a little over 5 hours. Now, when you deliberate for 5 hours and you had testimony from about 20-something witnesses, that doesn't necessarily bode well for the defendant. Usually, that's kind of the rule of thumb if you think about it. But in this situation, they found it just not guilty altogether. And then they both, the defense and the prosecution, said, no, we don't want to poll the jury. That I thought was kind of interesting, too, at least from the prosecutor's perspective. But I thought that the defense attorneys, look, you got to show your emotions. You're all human. And if I was a defense attorney, I probably would have done the exact same thing.
And I have to tell you, I never understand why either side, as a former judge, doesn't poll the jury. Because to me, for appellate purposes or whatever is going to happen next, I think it's a critical thing either side should do. That's just my own personal opinion. I want to listen together, Matthew, and then talk about some of the evidence that was presented during this trial. And I remember covering and watching this, and I thought it was pretty compelling for a guilty conviction. It didn't result in that. Let's hear what Nicole Rice's ex-boyfriend had to say.
At this house party, do you recall people talking about Anita's death?
Yeah, so we were playing video games and we were sitting on the couch. Nicole and I were sitting on the couch and a couple buddies were playing video games and someone from the kitchen was talking about it, and that's when it was stated, the comment.
When what was stated?
The comment was that from Nicole Rice, it was that she had did it, that she had killed Anita.
Nicole said that?
Yes.
All right, David, let me start with you, Matthew, on this, and then I'll come back to you, David. Matthew, in her own words, there you have, he is at least saying she said, I killed Anita, but yet no conviction. Your thoughts?
Well, it's a credibility issue. It's a believability issue. So it's not as though, she took the witness stand and said it, obviously, but, you're hearing it from a third person who is repeating haltingly this very important thing that the defendant said to him or said in his presence. What I thought was interesting about this defense, and at the time when I was looking at it, I called it the true crime defense. I mean, basically they're saying, hey, this was a cold case. It was going nowhere. And then, cold justice came to town. And in 7 days, they turned everybody, toward the defendant here. And ultimately the charges came. There were problems with this case. There's no question about that. And I don't think that statement by that witness was enough to turn the tide for the prosecution.
Yeah, I would agree with you, given the not guilty verdict. David, let's listen together, though, to testimony that was also presented about her demeanor regarding Anita's death.
Best of my recollection, my exact words were, I'm sorry to tell you that your roommate's deceased and she's been killed. I used the word she's been killed.
How did the defendant react to that?
She didn't. She was flat, just no real reaction at all.
Is that pretty much the only time in your career that was the reaction you got?
That's the only time I recall, yeah.
Okay.
All right, David, what do you think when you add the witness saying she said she killed Anita and then this testimony about her demeanor when she was told Anita was killed?
Kind of goes back to Matt's point, right? Credibility. Okay, well, you have a witness saying that she killed him. Well, okay, I guess they didn't really believe him. Now you have a cop saying that she was kind of flat. Well, everybody reacts differently. I mean, not many people get to have the opportunity, I guess, to say, oh, somebody was killed, and then you have to, realize what happened. That's very difficult. So everybody reacts in a different way. I don't know why they would talk about that. And frankly, there should have been a follow-up question, or at least for cross-examination. Well, how many times did you actually tell somebody that somebody's been killed and that they know them? I don't think that the jury believed much of it. And in cold cases, they're very difficult to prove. They're cold for a reason. And until you can really get it lock, stock, and barrel, you're going to just, have a whim here, think about it. And this is what happens.
Great points, both of you. I'm so appreciative to have you today, and stand by, because coming up, it was a brutal shooting captured on home surveillance footage. But the defendant was convicted on a lesser charge, not murder.
Because nobody deserves to freaking get gunned down, shot 4 times, the murderer come back and shoot you a 5th time and spit on you, and they get away with manslaughter? No. They dropped the ball on this. Kentucky, their laws, their court system is a joke. If you want to kill somebody, come to Kentucky.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
Home surveillance footage capturing the terrifying moment that Jordan Henning shot and killed his wife Ashley after celebrating her birthday at their Kentucky home. But what seemed like it should have been a slam dunk case took a shocking turn when Henning was acquitted of the top count of murder. He was convicted only of the lesser included charge of manslaughter. Henning took the stand during his trial, and he told the jury that he'd been abused by his wife for years and simply snapped.
There were times where she would throw things at me, where she'd hit me in the face. She would knock plates of food out of my hand. There was a time where she tied me down and used some things on me, and no matter how much I begged her to stop, she wouldn't stop. It's hard to talk about because when you do reach out to people, nobody believes you. It doesn't matter what proof you have. It's, well, what did you do to deserve it? You must have done something. No, nobody deserves that kind of crap. Like, you get tired of it. Especially, it's just when it doesn't stop.
While the verdict shocked many, it was during Henning's sentencing that Ashley's cousin revealed the real reason he believed Henning shot and killed his wife. Taking our 7th place spot for the year's best moments is Ashley's cousin calling the jury cowards and saying he believed the real reason Henning shot Ashley was because she had discovered he was living a double life.
They came forward and revealed what you've been hiding, your double life. The life you live is based play. You've been keeping your BDSM, cross-dressing, having sex with other men, alternative lifestyle in secret and in the shadows. And now it comes into the light. When Ashley finally said she had enough, and he made sure she wouldn't say another word to another story. I have one more thing to say. I've served this country for almost 22 years. 22 years in the Marine Corps. I've deployed 7 times to a combat operation, to combat zones. 9 times total deployed. And this is the justice that America gives me. It's unthinkable, unspeakable, it's disgusting. Thank you, John. Cowards. Every single one of you.
Any cross-examination?
Every single one of you are cowards.
Still with us, Matthew Mangino and David Gelman. Matthew, how did you react to this verdict? Did you think it was justice or not?
Well, they did a good job, the defense, of putting forth this idea that this was a heat of passion. killing. This was not a planned, premeditated killing. This is something that he was triggered because of a long period of emotional distress put upon him by his wife. Whether that's, really the true story here, they did an effective job of making sure that this jury said that this was a heat of passion killing.
And obviously, the credibility issue you all mentioned on the previous case applied in this case, and they chose to believe the defendant. We are out of time this hour. Goodbye to Matthew Mangino and David Gelman. Thank you so much for your expertise. But don't go anywhere. Coming up next, a defendant attacks her attorney in court, a plaintiff falls asleep in court, and a matriarch mastermind goes to trial. Stay with us.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. 2025 was an incredible year for courtroom drama and true crime right here on Court TV. From verdicts that shocked the nation to defendants who took the stand and they would leave us speechless. Today, we are counting down the 10 most unforgettable moments that define the year. Cases that had viewers glued to their screens and also sparked conversations nationwide. Last hour, the shocking arrest of American gymnastics icon Mary Lou Retton took the spot of number 10. That highly anticipated verdict of Karen Reed, that one came down at number 9. And at number 8, Nicole Rice breaking down after being acquitted at her murder trial. And number 7, the fiery impact statement read during the sentencing of Jordan Henning. And now, we are on to number 6. Back in September, in a complete and total victory for Cardi B, a jury rejected all claims in a civil lawsuit filed by a security guard who said the rapper attacked her. But it's what happened outside the courthouse that caught many by surprise. Before we bring you that moment, here's a quick recap of Cardi B's civil assault trial.
On the date of the incident, did you have black hair, blonde hair, or different color hair?
I quite don't remember. I do know I had a hoodie on.
Okay. Yesterday you had black hair, short hair. Today it's blonde and long. Which one is your real hair? Or are they both real?
They're wigs.
Okay, sorry, I didn't know that. When I'm talking to you now, are we having a verbal altercation?
We having, we'll see, a debate.
And we're debating about whether you assaulted and battered Miss Emmanuel, is correct?
There's no, I guess so, but I didn't touch her. I feel like my privacy was completely being violated. I wouldn't want to be anything that has to do with my medical records or anything. Even if I do cosmetic surgery, I don't want people to be in anything that has to do with medical in your business. It's just, especially something that is so sacred as your pregnancy is yours.
Did you post anything about the incident of February 24th, 2018 on the internet? Objection relevance?
I think I said something because around that time, she did went live and said something, and my fans caught it. And she was just practically saying, like, all of these lies about me and stuff like that. And I was like, I did not touch that girl at all.
Do you remember what you posted?
I don't think I posted something. I'm not even sure if it was a comment or like if I did like a live or something. It had to be quick. I was like, that's a lie. Here, trying to get some money.
What was that?
I said, that's a lie. Out of here. Just trying to get some money.
Who's trying to get some money?
She is.
How do you know that?
Because she sued me for $24 million.
What other words did you use? Tell us in your own words what you said.
I said, the f in my face. Why are you in my face? Why are you recording me? Ain't you supposed to be security?
Tell it to her now. Go ahead.
Huh?
Say it again. Say it.
Objection, Your Honor.
You want me to say it to her
I want
face?
you to tell it to her face what you said on that day so she can hear it for herself again.
Objection is sustained.
Hey, Your Honor, do we have civility in the courthouse?
Why don't we just take the temperature down a little bit? If you have factual questions to ask her, please do so. It's not the time to argue with her.
I feel like when I got sued, I was like, when I got sued, I was like, oh, I know I didn't touch her. Like, it's like, look for the cameras, because they'll tell you. I personally feel like if there's no physical touch, there is no incident. There was a verbal altercation. If you think that that's an incident, a verbal altercation, then it's an incident for you. Oh, yeah. She also was saying, like, because I don't give a who you are. I don't give a who you are.
And why were you concerned?
Because I'm pregnant and this girl's about to beat my ass. Hello? She told me, when I told her, why are you recording me? She said, oh, my bad. Practically apologized.
Did she apologize to you?
If you saying, oh, my bad, when I'm telling you why you're recording me, to me, that means you're recording me. And it's right there, right now. It's on my face.
During one of the jury's lunch breaks, a photographer asked Cardi B about rumors that her husband, Offset, was bragging about getting her pregnant for the 4th time, and if she foresaw any paternity issues. Coming in at number 6, the moment Cardi B's reaction outside court shocked everyone. Let's watch.
Hey, Cardi, you're beautiful.
Thank you.
Cardi, insiders are claiming that Offset is publicly bragging about getting you pregnant for the 4th time. Do you foresee any paternity issues with Stephon Diggs?
Stop.
On the microphone, please.
Cardi, your court look is amazing. Who are you wearing?
I still love you, even though you just threw some stuff at me.
I don't care. You're disrespectful. Don't do that. Do you see women asking those type of questions to me?
No,
you see
ma'am.
women asking those questions to me?
It's legit.
Why do you feel as a man you get to ask me those type of questions? Act like you have some manners. And your mama taught you, respect women.
And we cannot forget this moment from her trial either. We got to see a more calm Cardi B when she was inside court in front of the jury. Our cameras captured this moment where she appears to fall asleep during closing arguments. Trials can get long and boring, but not when you're the defendant. But she was thinking, well, it's getting too boring for me. And the jury ended up siding with her. They only deliberated a very short time, and she ultimately won that civil case, then countersuing. Why don't we go ahead and bring in our guest, criminal defense attorney and former district attorney Matthew Mangino, along with former law enforcement officer Claudia King. Thank you so much for joining us today. Great to see both of you. All right, Claudia, why don't we start with you? What did you think of the Cardi B trial? It was quite entertaining to watch, to say the least.
I think that is the perfect word to describe it. It was incredibly entertaining, and it gave us so many different things to talk about, from inside the courtroom to outside the courtroom, with all the different outfits, the different looks that Cardi B showed us, to the interaction with the reporter there where she wasn't too happy. But I think that they got it right in the end, and the jury did the right thing.
Matthew, what's your take on this trial?
Well, I mean, this case was a dog. It was a bad case right from the beginning, and it's a civil case, and sometimes in the civil realm, the worst cases end up in trial because people don't want to settle because they think it's ridiculous, the premise of the lawsuit. And I think that was the case here. And, she could have easily had her go away for some amount of money, but she took a principled stand and said, I'm not going to be, harassed by this woman in a legal sense, and I'm going to fight this case. It was really a bad case. The facts weren't in favor of the plaintiff. Witnesses were very much against the plaintiff's version of the event. So it was really a bad case from the outset, and the proper verdict in the end.
she had said that, Ellis had said that Cardi B scratched her. So Cardi B was asked about her long nails on the stand. Let's go ahead and listen to a bit of her talking about it, Cardi B, and then we'll talk about it on the other side.
Your fingernails, can you show them to us for all of us to see? How long are those fingernails? Just your best estimate. I don't want you to take a ruler to it, but if you were to give your estimate, is that half an inch, 1 inch, 2 inches?
I think it has to be less than an inch.
Okay.
Way less than an inch.
Right. Can you show them to us again? All right. Are they pointy?
These are not, to me, are not pointy. They're like circle, oval.
Okay. Are those your real nails or are they fake nails?
Fake nails.
Matthew, her likability. I mean, she came across as a very likable. She was very confident, sure of herself. Anything that attorney was throwing at her, she basically was throwing right back at him. How do you think that impacted the jury's verdict, her demeanor on the stand?
Well, I thought she was a great witness. She was very sort of down home. I mean, she just, spoke to the jurors like she was sitting in the living room having a conversation with them. And, when they asked her, what did she say? It wasn't like she said, well, I said a bad word. No, hey, this is what I said. I mean, it doesn't matter. This was a verbal altercation. It wasn't a physical altercation. This is what I said, and you may not like it, but I didn't assault the woman, and that's what it's about. And that's the way she came across to this jury, and I think it was very effective.
And here's another moment. We'll play it, Matthew. And Claudia, I'll get your reaction to this one. She ended up making everyone in the courtroom gallery, including the jurors, start laughing. Let's play that moment. Claudia, I'll talk with you about it on the other side.
When I'm talking to you now, are we having a verbal altercation?
We having, we'll see, a debate.
And we're debating about whether you assaulted and battered Miss Imani Ellis, correct?
It's no, I guess so, but I didn't touch her.
And Claudia, there she is again, just coming right back at defense counsel asking, are we having an altercation? And she just was very clear with how she felt about that situation. What's your take?
Yeah, absolutely. And just like Matthew said, she came across as very down home, very real. A lot of times we think of celebrities or they think they're better than everybody else. She did not come across like that at all. She is one of us. I think she did a great job on the stand.
Yeah, she definitely did. Coming up, we're going to tell you about the spot at number 5. And later, where does Taylor Schabusiness fall in our countdown of best moments of 2025? Stay with us. We're going to squeeze in a quick break.
Well, I ain't no and I didn't mean to go off on that like that at all. And I'm sorry for that, how it came off like that. It didn't mean to happen that way, and it shouldn't have. And I should get 10 days at least on the bracelet or something like that.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
We're finna get out of here. We got Dade County. The mother, Adelson. The last piece of the puzzle.
Oh, thanks for the mama.
Yes. She's coming back with us.
Our top 10 moments from 2025 had to include the latest chapter in the Adelson family saga and the murder-for-hire plot that killed Professor Dan Markell. Prosecutors argued that Donald Adelson plotted with her son to hire 2 hitmen to kill Markell, who was in the middle of a custody battle with her daughter Wendy at the time. The state painted her as the matriarch of a wealthy Florida family who would do anything to help her daughter. Here's some of the highlights from her trial.
Who in Dan Markell's life would hate him enough to hire a professional killer?
They put her at the top of this pyramid behind Danny being killed.
Did you say my parents have more reason to dislike Danny than almost anyone else?
At that point, I was sitting with law enforcement
for 6 hours and had just been told that Danny had been shot.
She called him a lot of bad names.
Yes.
She said ugly things about him.
Yes.
But not one single time did she ever suggest that Danny deserved to be harmed, did she?
Never.
She had said, you know, I don't know and I don't care. It doesn't concern me.
Was that out of character for her to not be curious?
Yeah, I mean, it was an unsolved murder of my former brother-in-law.
She's the matriarch. She's the matriarch mastermind. They don't have evidence of that.
Did we have it right? Were you the middleman between the shooter and Charlie Adelson?
Yes, ma'am.
He did tell you that his mother washed the money.
Yes, ma'am.
We took an undercover agent.
Excuse me, Mr. Davidson? How you doing? Just want to give you this.
And who is the first person that the defendant calls?
Charlie Adelson.
As it relates to your right to remain silent and your right to testify, what is your decision?
This time I don't want to testify. The undercover approaches Donna and hands her a piece of paper. When Charlie asked Donna, does it involve me or other people? Well, probably both of us.
She called Danny a major. She called him a royal, a piece of. You call somebody some bad names and that means you wanted him dead?
Catherine McBanoa admits she was in a plot to kill Dan Markel, and she got 44 checks and they were all signed by this woman.
They cannot prove she had him killed. At the time that he was killed, she had paid anybody or asked anybody to do it.
Well, the trial itself would make every top 10 trial list this year. It was her reaction to the guilty verdict on her first-degree murder charge that really captured our spot at number 5.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count 2. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 2 of the indictment, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of conspiracy to commit first-degree murder. Count 3. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 3 of the indictment, solicitation to commit first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of solicitation to commit first-degree murder. And it is signed and dated by the foreperson.
And Donna ended up being sentenced to life in prison plus 30 years. Let's go ahead and bring in criminal defense attorney and former district attorney Matthew Mangino and former law enforcement officer Claudia King. Matthew, I'll start with you. It really wasn't a surprise there that she was found guilty after they presented all of the evidence. The prosecutors there, I thought, did a great job. But clearly, when we've taken a look back at all the trials here that we've covered this last year at Court TV, this one definitely had to make the list of the top 10. What's your take on this one?
Well, it appeared to me that she was really the only person shocked by this verdict. And I think it goes right to the root of what her problem is, and that is that she wants to control everything, and she was the mastermind behind this, and you know, she was above reproach. You know, this jury, how could they find me guilty of first-degree murder? I mean, you know, she's outraged that she could be guilty, and as we said, she's really the only one surprised by it. That look, if you look at her defense counsel, they don't seem shocked by this verdict. So, to me, it just plays right into her personality, her domineering style.
Yeah, not too many people were shocked. We go to CrimeCon every year, and at CrimeCon, we asked a bunch of people what their reaction was to this case and that verdict. Why don't we go ahead and play that, Claudia? I'll talk with you about it on the other side.
We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the indictment, first-degree murder. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder. Mrs. Adelson, control yourself. Count 2.
Donna Adelson verdict.
Yeah.
Reaction.
Shocked. Very. Yeah, not what I expected. Not what I expected. Not what I was hoping for.
She had a little bit too much of an outburst. I was glad that the judge, shut her down. But it was definitely the right verdict.
I think she is the dumbest criminal I've ever encountered. Who in the world puts it all down in her handwriting?
Oh, that first lady, I hadn't heard her reaction yet. She said that she was shocked. So maybe there were some people out there that believed her, that she didn't really have anything to do with what took place there with Dan Markel. Claudia, what's your reaction?
I'm shocked that she was shocked. So I guess she's probably the only one that had that reaction. Super appreciate the reaction of the third lady there. I don't think Donna's quite the dumbest criminal that I've ever seen. There are some dumb ones out there, but I love this reaction. I could watch it over and over and over again because it's just perfect for her. She didn't think she was going to go down for this, and she's right where she needs to be.
You know, Matthew, during her sentencing, she proclaimed her innocence when she made her statement to the judge. She was telling him, I didn't do this.
Yeah, that never goes well with the judge. You know, I spent 6 years on the parole board in Pennsylvania, and I've heard that over and over again from parolees, and they stay in jail because of that. You know, ultimately, if you can't be contrite, and I understand you have appeals pending and you don't want to say anything that might be harmful to your case in the future if you would get a new trial, but just keep your mouth shut then. To go and argue in front of the judge that you're innocent, that you didn't do this, is not going to help you in terms of the sentence in this case. And really, for her, you know, it's a life sentence, if no matter what the time was, if it was 20 years or life plus 30, she's not getting out of prison.
Right. Matthew, thank you. Okay, we're going to squeeze in a break. Coming up, our countdown continues with a shocking body cam confession. It's our number 4 moment of 2025. As we head to break, another moment that just missed the top 10, an emotional outburst during the trial of Doomsday Mom Lori Daybell.
Lori, right in prison. We can't do that. Let's go. Everyone out now.
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband.
I need to know where your husband's at.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
He's in a fish.
Yes.
There's no fish large enough on an atwood to swallow your husband.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft, and we are counting down the top 10 best moments of 2025. And at number 4 is Amish mother Ruth Miller telling police her husband was at the bottom of the lake in a fish. You just heard her say that right there. Investigators say her husband, Marcus, drowned after swimming into the lake as part of a religious test. Miller is not charged in his death, but she is charged with murder in the death of her 4-year-old son. Authorities say Miller admitted to throwing her child into the lake to, quote, give him to God. Earlier this year, a judge denied bond for Miller as she awaits trial. Why don't we go ahead and watch more body cam video of Miller's interview with investigators. This is our number 4 moment of 2025.
I gave him to God.
You gave him to God?
Yes.
What do you mean by that?
I threw him in the lake and I gave him to God. And people are going to tell me I am crazy, but he is real. And he loves you. He really does love you. He loves you. And I doubted him. I doubted him so many times. But I am to tell you, he is coming soon. He is coming very soon. Prepare your hearts. The end is close. And I'm for sure supposed to tell you that he does love you. Okay?
Ma'am, can you explain to me what happened? Who did you throw in the water?
I gave my son to God.
Your son?
Yes.
Where's your husband?
He went for a walk this morning.
And you haven't seen him
He
since?
didn't ever come back. And we went to the boat and his clothes were there. And God told me he's in the lake and a fish swallowed him. And you're actually supposed to go look for him in the bottom of the lake. And you will find the fish. And you will find my husband. And then you will believe. But ye of your little faith that did not believe before seeing.
Okay.
So send people down to the bottom of the lake looking for a fish. I had my husband.
How old's your son that's in the lake?
4. He's sweet. I love him. I gave him.
Okay. 7940 Central. We're out with the mother. She's advising that she threw her 4-year-old son in the lake to give him to God. A firm.
So do you believe?
Awesome.
They are there. And then pain came back to me. My husband and I both got at him. And pain came back to me.
I need to know where your husband's at.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
He's in a fish.
Yes.
There's no fish large enough on an Atwood to swallow your husband.
He's at the bottom of the lake in a fish.
Okay. I thought your husband went for a walk.
Yeah, and then we came to the boat, and his clothes were laying in the boat.
Okay.
Tan pants and cream shirt and flip-flops.
Do you have a cell phone?
It's in the camper.
It's in the camper. Where's your camper at?
I think it's...
Area 3?
I think so. Yeah. It's like a tannish camper.
It's a tannish camper. You don't know what lot number it is?
No.
Well, we really need to verify your husband's still with us.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, he's actually just go out in the bottom of the lake.
Well, I can't go in the bottom of the lake. So
Do you have scuba divers?
Yeah, we're gonna have to call divers in to go to the bottom of the lake.
Please do.
And you're saying
Get the best ones there are, because this is a miracle from God. And you will see. You will see.
You're saying your 4-year-old son's down there too?
He's with God.
Where's his body at?
I don't know.
Where did you throw him in the water at?
Off of the dock at the causeway.
Where the bike was today? Where the boat was?
Yeah, where the boat was.
Okay.
I know.
When there's supposed to be ones coming out there? I think there was one.
Does anybody have a glass of water?
We can get you water.
Please.
What's up?
Thank you.
We're right now we're gonna walk up to the squad, okay? That's what we're going to do. We're gonna put you in the back of the squad.
You will find my husband.
Okay, but you're gonna sit down in the back of the squad for us, okay?
Can I actually just sit with my children and have water?
Yeah, we can bring your children over.
I would love a glass of water.
Let's go up in this squad over here.
My children out here.
We'll bring them over in a minute. Let me go check you out. Yeah, we're gonna get it. Kyle went to go get you one.
Let's go ahead and bring in our guests to discuss. Still with us, Matthew Mangino and Claudia King. Claudia, I'm going to start with you because you have that law enforcement expertise. You know, when law enforcement encounters someone like this and they're making many concerning statements, I mean, that's a difficult task because you obviously have a very terrible situation on your hands, but then you have the person who allegedly did these acts that's making these concerning statements.
Yeah, I think these officers did a really good job because on the inside, I'm sure that they were as infuriated as all of us are or should be in watching this and hearing what this woman is saying. But they remained calm, they kept her talking, and they're trying to find the other children, figure out where the husband and this 4-year-old son is. It is very difficult to be in a situation like this and to remain calm and keep this person talking. I think the officers did a fantastic job here.
Matthew, she has entered a plea of not guilty by reason of insanity. Probably, if you were representing her, maybe the best approach. What would be your approach to a case like this?
Well, this certainly seems like an insanity situation, Kelly. I mean, this is a woman who is calmly talking about sacrificing her son to God. He's with God now. I put him in the lake. She's talking as though she did nothing wrong. And that's kind of the threshold here, that she doesn't know the difference between right and wrong. What she thinks she did, she thinks is right. She's not hiding it. She didn't run away. She's telling these police officers, hey, my son is with God now. I gave my son to God. And that, to me, is really what this insanity defense is all about. Someone who can't differentiate between right and wrong. They think that their conduct in drowning their son is the right thing, and they explain why to the police.
Matthew, I want to stick with you here because it was just about a month ago that the judge deemed her competent to stand trial. So if you could kind of explain that process, because clearly, as Claudia was saying, you have someone making these statements that's very difficult for law enforcement and everyone else involved. She, one would say, is not in her right mind at the time. So it did take a while for the judge to deem her competent to stand trial. I believe her trial is not going to start until March.
Well, right. And so, Kelly, insanity and competency are really two different points in time. So insanity is what your state of mind was and what you understood at the time the crime was committed. Incompetency is your ability to aid in your defense at your trial. So it's really two different points that have to be evaluated. You can be competent to stand trial and still have an insanity defense because you were not in a good state of mind. You didn't understand what you were doing when the crime was committed. So here now the judge says, hey, you're competent, you can aid in your defense, you understand what you're facing, and now we're going to determine whether or not you were insane when this crime was committed.
It's going to be an interesting trial to watch. Matthew, thank you. Claudia, thank you. Coming up, courtroom chaos caught on camera. We'll show you the moment that led to a defendant being shackled to a wheelchair in court. You're taking a look at the defendant there. This is our number 3 best moment of 2025 next.
The Court TV podcast will return.
Welcome back to Court TV Live. We are counting down the top 10 best moments of 2025 right here on Court TV. And coming in at number 3 is House of Horrors killer Taylor Schabusiness attacking her attorney in court again.
And Judge, it sounds like just one witness. We're asking for a sequestration, but that may be a moot point.
All right. It is one witness, Your Honor. We're off the record.
Schabusiness was in court for assaulting a prison guard when she lunged at her lawyer, Chris Jolka. Deputies jumped in. They restrained her, and court was adjourned. After the attack, her lawyer asked to be removed from the case, and the judge approved that request. The next time Schabusiness was in the courtroom, she appeared that she was restrained and shackled to a wheelchair.
So the last time we were in court, we were scheduled for a preliminary hearing. At the preliminary hearing, there was an outburst by Miss Shabusiness. At that point, she was tackled to the floor and she was removed from court. And then we proceeded with the preliminary hearing. At that point, I found that Miss Shabusiness had waived her right to be personally present at that court date. And so a preliminary hearing was held. She was bound over and then bound over to this court. An arraignment was held, and we're here today scheduling. I bring this up only to point out, I think I have a duty to Ms. Shabusiness to warn her that any future outbursts like that could prevent her from being personally present even at the trial. So I just want to make sure that she's aware of that. She's here today, everything's fine. But moving forward, I just want to make sure that she's aware of that. You understand that, Mr. Fralick?
I understand that, Your Honor. Understood.
Okay.
Your Honor?
Yes.
Today, my client is in a chair with wheels. Her legs are strapped. Her waist is strapped, and she's got handcuffs on. I would ask respectfully to the court, at future hearings, I'd ask that she not be shackled. I have a relationship with her. I've represented her before. I think we have a good relationship, and I'd ask that you consider my request for her not to be shackled during the trial or any future proceedings.
I guess I'm not going to take a position on that right now. Obviously, at the trial, there's going to have to be some type of we're going to have to address it. Maybe we should address it. Maybe we should schedule a motion hearing or something before then to address that issue. I think, obviously she has a right to be in civilian clothes and those type things. I'm sure you're gonna ask for that. And
yes, I will.
With Shabusiness shackled and restrained, her prison attack case continued. Eventually, she pleaded no contest to attacking the prison guard, and she did offer an apology.
Detective Milan, what did Officer Lipke report occurred at Cheetah on July 24th of 2024 involving Ms. Shabusiness?
Taylor had indicated that there was a staple in her arm and a request was put in for a nurse to remove it. One of the correctional officers at Cheetah, a female sergeant, was tasked with bringing Taylor down to the nurse's office so the nurse could remove that staple. While in the nurse's office, Taylor began giggling, and then a short time later, when the nurse was in the process of removing the staple with the tweezers, Taylor lunged initially at the nurse. Then the sergeant pushed the nurse out of the way and began to try to gain control of Taylor to get the nurse out of the way. And in the process of that, metal tray from the nurse's room was grabbed by Taylor. The correctional officer believes she was struck in the head by that, does not believe she was concussed, but then reported in the course of struggling to get Taylor under control, received bruising to her ribs and pain in her arm.
I'm telling you, I will give this woman credit. She is very creative. Very creative, for sure.
Stop now! Stop resisting! Stop! Stop resisting! No! Yes! No! Straight her! Straight her!
Well, I ain't no and I didn't mean to go off on that like that at all. And I'm sorry for that, how it came off like that. It didn't mean to happen that way, and it shouldn't have. And I should get 10 days at least on the bracelet or something like that.
This wasn't the first time Taylor Shabusiness attacked even her own attorney. At a hearing ahead of her murder trial in 2023, she jumped out of her chair and lunged at her lawyer.
Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Let's go ahead and bring in our guests, Matthew Mangino and Claudia King. Claudia, I'm going to start with you again on this one because of your law enforcement background. You know, the defendant in this case, she's now serving a life sentence for murdering her lover and dismembering him. You know, clearly had a drug addiction. She talked about it. Her attorney talked about it, saying that she apologizes for her actions because she was addicted to meth. I mean, you are always encountering many different situations in law enforcement. The last segment, we were talking about the Amish woman who made concerning statements. Now we have a situation where this defendant was clearly addicted to meth and has been trying to recover for quite some time and has these continual outbursts.
Yeah, I think this is a perfect example of what meth does to somebody, and it's so sad and so unfortunate. And I was going to say that we'll miss seeing Taylor in 2026, but I don't think that we've seen the last of her because I think she'll probably continue to have these outbursts. You know, unfortunately, she probably still has access to meth or some type of drugs while she's in prison, and it's going to be a long road for her to heal if she even has that desire or ability to do so.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be a long road for her. Matthew, I'm going to play something. This is an attorney talking about what she did. This was during, I believe, during the trial or shortly thereafter, talking about why she ended up being sentenced to life in prison in the first place. Let's play that, and I'll get your reaction on the other side.
I was aware that, several knives had been found that were covered in what appeared to be human matter. The one knife that I chose was the bread knife, so to speak, that she had used mainly to dismember the body, according to Ms. Shabiznes.
So, Matthew, just very gruesome details for anyone to have to listen to in this case. I know even when I was out just covering another story, people just randomly were coming up asking about this case because the details were really, really hard to listen to, even more gruesome than a lot of the ones that we cover here at Court TV. What's been your take on this case, her situation, and her reaction during court just since?
Well, the one thing I would say, Kelly, is her third attorney, I think it was a very brave individual. He asked for her shackles and handcuffs to come off during trial, and I respect that, especially since her prior two attorneys had been attacked by her in the courtroom. But this is a classic situation of how do you control this person? Now, she's in prison for life. She dismembered her boyfriend. She's attacked her attorney. She's attacked corrections officers. She's going to continue to do that as long as she's alive. It's not as though you're going to say, oh, well, I got a life sentence. I'm going to calm down now. And, she has nothing to hold her back now. I suspect that she is going to be a problem in a correctional facility for as long as she's alive. And that puts corrections officials, corrections officers at risk because she has nothing to lose at this point.
Matthew, I want to stick with you here because one of her attorneys did ask to be removed. You mentioned she had several attorneys. That's not always an easy thing. A judge doesn't always grant that. In this situation, though, he did. You clearly had a lot of supporting facts there that the judge even witnessed for him to grant that removal.
Well, yes. I mean, I don't think any judge is going to put an attorney in jeopardy of physical harm. Now, if you come there and you say, hey, I don't want to try this case because I'm going on vacation next week, a judge is probably not going to let you withdraw. And if you come in and say, well, I'm not really prepared and I haven't done the work that I need to do to get this case ready, he's not going to let you withdraw. But if he sits there and he sees you physically attacked by your client, he's not or she's not going to put you in jeopardy of being harmed again. So I'm not surprised at all that the judge let the attorney withdraw in this case.
Matthew, thank you. Thanks so much to our guests this hour, Matthew Mangino and Claudia King, for joining us. Have a great rest of the day. And coming up next, in our countdown, we'll see who did not make the list, but still deserved an honorable mention. And later, the moment you've all been waiting for, will unveil the top 2 spots for best moments of 2025. Can you guess which explosive moment it will be? We'll be right back.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
This is Court TV Live. I'm Kelly Craft alongside Cody Thomas. Thank you so much for being with us. This hour, we are bringing you the best and the biggest moments from 2025 right here on Court TV.
Now, we spent the last few hours looking back at some of the top 10 best moments. Now, coming in at number 10, Olympic gold medalist Mary Lou Retton arrested for DUI. And at number 9, the acquittal that will go down in history. Karen Reed found not guilty of second-degree murder and her sea of supporters cheering from outside the courthouse. Another big acquittal, Nicole Rice, acquitted of murdering her roommate nearly 20 years ago, came in at number 8. And at number 7, an explosive moment in the courtroom when the cousin of a woman shot and killed by her husband called the jury cowards for their decision to convict Jordan Henning of the lesser charge of first-degree manslaughter.
Now, last hour, the explosive Cardi B assault trial came in at number 6. The matriarch mastermind murder trial for Donna Adelson, that came in at number 5. And coming in at number 4, the tragic Amish mother murder case for Ruth Miller. At number 3, the shocking prison attack case against Taylor Schabusiness.
Now, before we bring you our top 2 moments from 2025, let's take a look at some honorable mentions. Starting in Georgia, where earlier this month, a former pageant queen, Trinity Pogue, was convicted of killing her boyfriend's 18-month-old son, J.D.
The verdict reads as follows as to each count. On count 1, it says, we, the jury, find the defendant not guilty. On counts 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, the verdict reads, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty of felony murder, 2 counts, aggravated battery, 2 counts, and cruelty to child in the first degree.
Pogue was arrested last year, 5 days after J.D. was found unresponsive in her college dorm room on Georgia Southwestern State University's campus. He later died at the hospital. A key moment for the state's case came when the jury heard from Pogue's former roommate, who told jurors about text messages from Pogue in which she vented about her anger towards J.D. before his tragic death. Take a listen.
It says, why do I feel anger towards J.D.? Like earlier when we were in bed and J.D. kept touching Jay's face, I almost cried.
Your response to that, which came, again, just a few seconds later, and this is at the bottom of page 113.
Okay.
Your response to that was what?
What do you mean, like you feel anger towards J.D., question mark?
And then her reply to you a minute later, what was what?
Like, I don't know, not jealousy, but like I want to love him, but instead of loving, I just feel like angry, like want to punch him. LMFAO, OMG, that sounds so bad.
What was the message that she forwarded to you that she had sent to Jay earlier in that week or that day?
Read it aloud.
Please.
I've told you from the beginning that I would always try to love JD is the same as mine, but since me and you have gotten serious, every time I see him, I just get angry at the world, and I just have a gut feeling of anger. I don't know what it is. Maybe because I'm so young, and I know if I am committed to you, then I'm committed to him. You're 24 and I'm 18, and I know that the age difference isn't much, but you have a kid and you have more responsibilities than just spoiling me. I don't want to be your second baby mama. I wanted to be your first, but that won't ever happen, and I don't think that I can continue to be in a relationship with you and have that in the back of my mind.
What did she express to you as to how she felt about the child, and the child as it related to her relationship with Mr. Williams?
I would say around the same things of she didn't know if she could love him like her own kid, that she would get angry at him when he was there.
Did she ever express her anger to you? Did she ever express her anger in a way related to how she felt about the child?
She would say such things as, I would want to run him over with my car.
She told you that she wished she could just run him over with her car?
She did.
Now, the state also called to the stand the father of JD, who testified about Trinity Pogue's feelings about the baby.
Had she ever told you that she didn't like JD? Or that she hated JD? Or made any comments like that?
She made comments, but it's like, but then like maybe a few hours, like she like, I always treat him like he's mine.
Did she make comments about whether JD liked her?
Yes.
Okay, what were those comments? What was her?
She was like, he don't like me. I said, you got to give it time.
Okay. She said that he didn't like her, and you told her that she would have to give him time.
Yes.
Now let's also listen back to some of the testimony from defense witnesses, including 2 who lived in the same dorm as the defendant when the incident occurred.
Do you know the defendant, Trinity Pogue?
Yes, sir. She was my babysitter for my children.
And how long a period of time was she the babysitter for your children?
She started watching my 2 stepkids that I have in 2020, and then I had my own child in 2022, and she also watched her.
And in all of those times that she babysit for you, were there ever any issues with her babysitting duties for the children?
No, sir.
Okay, when you were sleeping, got awakened, what awakened you?
A baby crying.
Actually, he cried a lot when he was there around Miss Pogue, didn't he?
Yes, sir, every time.
Every time?
Yes, sir.
So what opinions did you hear her express about the child?
She was describing that she didn't particularly like him.
Did you have the occasion at any time to meet Trinity Pogue?
Yes, sir.
How did you know her?
We were in the leadership program together.
Back on January 13th in the late night hours, anywhere from 10 o'clock forward, till January 14th, early morning hours, did you hear anything during that time period that was worth noting?
I heard the baby crying, sir.
What time was it when you heard that? Do you know?
It periodically throughout the night.
Pogue was later sentenced to life in prison with the possibility of parole after 30 years.
Now, our next honorable mention comes from Manhattan. 27-year-old Luigi Mangione is charged with killing Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare. Now, Thompson was shot and killed in what prosecutors call a targeted attack outside the Hilton in Midtown Manhattan in December of last year.
Here's a look back at the case that shook the nation.
In Midtown Manhattan early this morning, 50-year-old Brian Thompson, the CEO of United Healthcare, was shot and killed in what appears to be a brazen, targeted attack.
December 4th, 2024. The shooting death of the CEO of the United Healthcare Group, the largest health insurance company in the United States, sent shockwaves across the country. Police said the suspect was lying in wait for Brian Thompson, who was in New York City for an investor conference. He was waiting for his target, and then he spotted him. He began to follow him. He got behind him, got about 20 feet from him, and then opened fire, shooting him in the back. Then he got closer and shot him in the calf. A national manhunt began after the suspect seemingly disappeared without a trace. Police say after the shooting, the suspect fled on foot, coming through this alleyway between 54th and 55th, and then turning right onto 6th Avenue. Investigators scoured surveillance videos from across the city and identified a possible suspect. 5 days after Thompson was killed, Luigi Mangione was arrested more than 300 miles away at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. Luigi Mangione was a 26-year-old graduate of the University of Pennsylvania who was valedictorian of his Baltimore high school.
Thank you all for being here to celebrate Gilman's 116th Founders Day. I'm honored to be speaking to you all today on behalf of the Gilman class of 2016.
Police say shell casings found at the crime scene had the words deny, delay, and depose written on them that pointed toward a potential motive related to Mangione's anger and frustration at the nation's health insurance system. They also say a diary found when he was arrested provided additional clues. The target is insurance because it checks every box. The investor conference is a true windfall. It embodies everything wrong with our health system. And most importantly, the message becomes self-evident.
People who keep wondering why we regard Luigi Mangione as a hero, we don't. We see him as the symbol he is and a time that he's needed.
After his arrest, people took to social media in support for what Mangione allegedly did.
He is like a national phenomenon right now. Like, he doesn't even know how loved he is.
Should we free Luigi?
I mean, no, because killing somebody's not right.
Luigi Mangione faces multiple charges in state and federal court, including murder, stalking, and firearms offenses. Now, Mangione has had a handful of hearings throughout the year, but the biggest moments from his case in 2025 came from outside the courtroom.
It touches two nerves in the American public. One, death and crime, and two, insurance.
The issue of this United Healthcare CEO being shot is so large and touches so many Americans that I think it's almost impossible to find someone who would be unbiased and could just hear the evidence.
I want to see everyone have a right to a fair trial, not just Luigi. I want to see the death penalty completely scrapped. I don't think that should be allowed in this day and age. And if we can use the attention on Luigi's case to further those movements, I think that's a net positive for everyone.
Earlier this month, both parties wrapped up a days-long pretrial hearing where his lawyers sought to exclude some key evidence, including a 3D printed gun, as well as a notebook with alleged attack plans from his state trial. A ruling is not expected until May.
Now, on December 19th, Mangione's lawyers filed a motion arguing the Attorney General's decision to seek the death penalty in his federal trial was tainted by her prior work as a lobbyist at a firm that represented the United Healthcare's parent company. Pam Bondi announced she was directing Manhattan federal prosecutors to seek the death penalty, declaring this even before Mangione was formally indicted.
Mangione's next court appearance is scheduled for January 9th in federal court.
All right, let's bring in our guest this hour to discuss. Joining us now from New York City, trial attorney Cannon Kearney, along with former law enforcement officer Claudia King. And Cannon, I want to start with you, and I want to start right up there where you are in New York City with Luigi Mangione. You know, this whole case, this one could elevate past an honorable mention, given the, international outcry that it caused. And, Cannon, here at Court TV, we've seen the reactions in the Karen Reed case, all of those supporters with Karen Reed. But in that case, those supporters were more so, they thought Karen Reed was innocent. That's why they were out there doing that on the courthouse steps. But in this case, it seems like Mangione supporters are kind of celebrating the fact that he may have actually shot the CEO. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, good morning. Happy holidays, Cody and Kelly. Thankful as always to be here. In America, in the world, we love a good story. And Mr. Mangione is a handsome gentleman. He's somebody who is an intelligent, articulate person, and he's someone that the camera catches well. So many people are thrilled with him and what he did, basically just because he's somewhat of a pop star. And then if we look at America right now with what's going on with healthcare and the rising rates, many people are unable to pay for health care. So to them, he's like a Robin Hood type of character. He's someone who is bringing about the demise of a system that is essentially overlooking certain people. Do I agree with this? No. But is this something that is a fact? Yes, based on what we've seen outside the courtroom, based on the reporting that we've seen. So this is something that we have to look at as a society, not just the health insurance that is going on, but our love for individuals who are like Robin Hood type of characters.
Yeah, speaking of Robin Hood type characters, Claudia, let me bring you in on this because of your law enforcement background. You know, you have people from all different walks of life that law enforcement officials always have to deal with. You have a situation here, a young man, he has kind of gotten this, in a way, rock star following. And dealing with someone that gets that kind of attention also creates a lot of challenges for law enforcement.
Yeah, it absolutely does, Kelly, because you have that added layer of people being everywhere that you're going to take him. So you have to have extra levels of security, perhaps. You have to think about the possibility of people trying to free him or trying to get him away, because we know that so many people do celebrate what he did. So it does add another layer for law enforcement officials, particularly when they are transporting him or dealing with him in the public, that they have to further protect themselves and protect him as well.
Yeah.
All right, Claudia and Cannon sticking around for the remainder of this hour, but we do need to take a break. But coming up, before we get to our top 2 moments from 2025, we have a few more honorable mentions. A shocking verdict for a deadly son, and the killer cult mom added a few more sentences under her belt. Keep it right here on Court TV.
Now, back to the Court TV podcast.
I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, and I don't know. If I think she's going to do something, even if she's not, I might act. I'm not going to, like, go crazy or anything, but I'm not sure, honestly.
Okay. You're not sure if you're going to hurt?
Only if she tries to hurt me.
Welcome back. Cody Thomas here with Kelly Craft, of course. Now, we're counting down our honorable mentions in the top best trial moments of 2025. Now, let's go to Florida for the deadly son murder trial of 17-year-old Colin Griffith.
There are no defects nor omissions in the verdict. Counsel for the state, counsel for the defendant, rise and hearken to the verdict. Mr. Griffith, rise and hearken to the verdict.
State of Florida versus Colin Griffin. Will the jury find as follows? As to the defendant in this case, the defendant, as to count 1, the defendant is not guilty. As to count 2, the defendant is not guilty. So say will, this 5th day of February, 2025.
Does the state wish to have the jury polled?
The teenage defendant walked out of jail in February after he was acquitted of murder charges in the stabbing death of his mother. Griffith claims that he stabbed her in self-defense after she attacked him. On September 8th, 2024, Colin told 911 dispatchers that his mom, Catherine Griffith, fell on a knife during a fight.
That caused the bleeding. She got real tight and we don't just use the knife and she fell on it. Where is the knife right now? And who did she get in a fight with? We got real tight for a long time and then we got on top of me and fell on it.
Now, during closing arguments, Colin's attorney suggested Catherine, quote, committed suicide by son. The year before his mother's death, Griffith fatally shot his father in Oklahoma, claiming self-defense once again. Now, there were no witnesses and the charges against him were dropped.
Now, let's go to Arizona. This is the trial of infamous cult mom murderer, Lori Daybell. Her case made the number 4 spot in our honorable mention of best moments in 2025.
I recall that she spoke about her husband being possessed.
He called and he said, he's dead. I Googled him and he's dead. Alex killed him.
Did you ever speak with Charles Vallow about Lori Vallow interfering with your marriage with Melanie?
Yes, I did.
When you were asked by Detective Pillar if there was anyone you knew who might want to harm you, were you able to provide any names?
It was 2 people. It was Lori and Alex.
I mean, if I open the door, do I get a hearing? We stop trial and I get a hearing on...
Stop.
As to the crime of count 1, conspiracy to commit first-degree murder occurring on or about October 2nd, 2019, as follows. Guilty.
Now, following that trial, emotions ran high inside a packed Phoenix, Arizona courtroom for Daybell's sentencing.
Lori, right in prison. We can't do that. Let's go. Everyone out now.
Now, in April, a jury found her guilty of conspiracy in the murder of her fourth husband, Charles Vallow.
Then earlier this year, another jury convicted her of conspiracy in the attempted murder of her niece's ex-husband, Brandon Boudreaux. He could be seen wiping tears while sitting in the gallery during her sentencing. Lori represented herself in both trials. She even had a tense exchange with the judge during one of her hearings.
The state did raise any issue of character evidence under 404A and 405, that if the defendant opens the door and tries to advise that she is a good person, a peaceful person, a kind person, a loving person, any of those other types of things, that we believe that would allow us under 405 to then bring in specific acts such as the murder of her children, her husband, and her current husband's wife.
All right.
Which would also be 404B that they withdrew. No, it'd be 405.
Yeah, they withdrew it, but if you bring up 404 that you...
Then all 404B is in, or do we get a hearing on what 404B can come in? If I open the door, do I get a hearing? We stop trial and I get a hearing on...
Stop. We'll have a very short hearing, okay? If you're going to introduce how you have great character and good character, we're going to have a short hearing on what evidence that they can bring in to rebut that character, which could include being convicted of 4 murders. So
and would you
talk to your advisory counsel during the break. And
you don't need to yell at me either.
I'm at you, okay?
Yeah, you are, and you do not need to talk to me that way. I'm very courteous. I'm very courteous to you.
No, you have been nothing near courteous to me during the course of these proceedings. Talk with your advisory counsel about the rest of your cross. We're going to resume in 15 minutes.
All right.
Now, Boudreaux and Kay Woodcock, Charles Vallow's sister, were among those who faced Lori as they delivered powerful victim impact statements. Daybell was ordered to pay more than $11,000 in restitution to Charles Vallow's family in October, adding more financial consequences to her multiple life sentences for a string of murders and conspiracies. All right, let's bring back in trial attorney Cannon Kearney along with former law enforcement officer Claudia King. Claudia, I want to start with you because I know you also have expertise in domestic violence. And I want to start with Colin Griffith. Now, Claudia, this is a kid who has killed his mother in self-defense, right? This is a kid who shot his own father a year prior, also claiming self-defense. And he's walked out of jail with charges dropped in both of those cases. Now, Claudia, domestic violence isn't always spouse to spouse like we typically see it. Is there a likelihood that Colin Griffith may or may not find himself in a similar situation here again?
I think that's absolutely possible because I think he is the abuser that we're seeing in these cases. And I think in some of the clips that we saw, what he was actually doing was kind of setting up his defense very early on when we saw him talking about defending himself against his mother to law enforcement officers. And that's what a lot of abusers do is, you know, they will put the light on the other person, on the victim, that they are the actual abuser, to show the light better on themselves, to portray themselves as the victim. So I think now that he's gotten away with this twice, he's emboldened, and it's very likely that he'll find himself in a similar situation again.
Yeah, Claudia, even in that situation, it seemed like when they read the verdict there, it seemed as if his defense counsel was even a little bit surprised. But Cannon, I'll bring you in on this one because I'll switch gears and go to the Lori Daybell trial. I was out there covering her trials, being in the courtroom, seeing her walk in and smiling to everyone in the gallery. It really was not a surprise that she was convicted in all of those cases.
Not at all, Kelly. It appears that Ms. Daybell wanted to manipulate societal values. She thought that she was going to be able to get over just because of the fact that she believed her self-righteous ability to have religion, or her self-righteous ability to be a family woman to her new husband, was reason enough for her to go about killing people. Well, unfortunately, most people in society, the reasonable person that everybody knows of in the courtroom, isn't going to believe that. So it's clear that the judge was frustrated with her. I'm sure the jury was wondering why they were still having to hear her even try to come about this without taking some type of plea. So, yeah, she got exactly what everyone knew she was going to get, which was the max sentence.
And Claudia, I kind of want to piggyback off of that. You know, we just heard Kelly talk about how, you know, Lori walked in all smiles. It's as if she, you know, she represented herself in both of those Arizona trials. She walks in the courtroom as if she's smarter than everyone else, all smiles. She told various media outlets that these sentencings were not the end of everything. Claudia, in your opinion, what does that say about Lori's mental state? Because on one hand, we have those sorts of actions, and then obviously her radical beliefs. But then we also see her kind of holding her own a couple of days inside the courtroom. What does that say about what's going on upstairs with Lori Daybell?
She is definitely manipulative. She is probably a narcissist, and she's absolutely an abuser. Again, she does believe that she's smarter than everybody else. She thinks that she can gaslight even the judge, the jury, everyone around her, and she's never going to quit. She will keep talking just to hear herself talk. So we probably haven't seen the end of her. She'll figure out some way, somehow, to get herself back in the spotlight.
Yeah, I definitely think she will. And yeah, when we were out there and she would walk in, you know, she was actually quite friendly. She would smile at everyone, and in a way, when she talked with the jury, it was as if she was just trying to get them to kind of agree with her story, saying this is just a family tragedy. Ken, we don't have a lot of time, but that's one of the things that she said in her opening and the close. This is just a family tragedy.
Yeah, Kelly, family values are always going to hit ahead with the jury. Unfortunately, murdering 4 people also does as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Kenan, thank you. Claudia, thank you. When we come back, we'll have our second best moment in 2025, including the assault trial of rapper A$AP Rocky. What this famous defendant did after the verdict was read that had many people talking. We're going to take a look back at that case right after the break.
You're watching Court TV. I'm Cody Thomas, along with none other than Kelly Craft. Great to be here with you, my friend.
You too, Cody.
In February, rapper A$AP Rocky stood trial accused of 2 felony counts of assault with a semi-automatic firearm. Now, the charges stem from a 2021 incident near a Hollywood hotel where prosecutors say he shot at his former friend and collaborator A$AP Rocky, whose real name is Terrell Efron.
Who could forget the contentious cross-examination between Efron and Rocky's defense lawyer, Joe Tacopino? It prompted the judge to interject several times.
Mr. Efron, there is nothing in your Instagram that showed you in Los Angeles on October 19, 2021. Is there? Yes, it is. Really? I'm going to give you a live phone. You show me on your Instagram. Show me on your Instagram where it shows that you're in Los Angeles on October 19, 2021. What do you mean a live phone? A phone. Your Instagram. Your Instagram.
No, we would have to go, see, now you think you slipped. We would have to go to my phone, my actual phone, and go to my archive. You're not going to show me something of my highlights, which is not there. You think you slipped. Stop. You're not going to interpret me up. I'm on Mr. Efron. You're trying to show me somebody else's that I can't activate where I can go to my archive. You're not slick.
You have your phone.
And you know I don't got it. It's over there. We can get it though. I can show you. We can go get it right now.
So you're
clear this up.
This will cause you to go back.
No, you did because you're sneaky. Don't be insulting. Stop it. You just trying to show me something off a story that you can't get in your archive. So you're already like lying to people. Or lying about the situation because you know I cannot see it through that way. I would go to my phone. You cannot accuse anybody of lying.
Mr. Efron, in fact, what happened yesterday was at 2 o'clock, at 2:11, somebody called with the pen name of Zone with Justice posted 2 photos on Twitter of you at the shooting range and the Los Angeles Gun Club at the shooting.
I don't know how none of this. Hold on. Just interject. What's the objection? What's your saying?
Mr. Efron, you saw the video of your trial testimony on this topic, correct? Just a few minutes ago.
Okay.
Okay, yes, I did. Okay.
You said yes? Yes.
Did you look like you were confused by that question at all when you said, definitely not?
I'm gonna be honest, I just wanted to stop talking to you.
The 3-week trial was full of heated moments between the attorneys. Let's take a look back now at some key moments from that trial. It's our number 2 moment from 2025.
The prosecution also noted that Rocky produced a similar amount of pistols and pointed at Relly. And said, "I'm going to kill you." Let's break that down. See what the evidence really shows. First of all, the object was not a semi-automatic pistol. It was a prop gun. That's pretty clear from the evidence. Not only witness testimony, the fact that there's no evidence of shooting at all. But beyond that, Rocky certainly did not point at Relly. The video shows that, and 12 told you that. In fact, based on Relly's own testimony, the object was put away when 2 people walked by on the street. And as a result of that, whatever Relly claims Rocky did with it, while they were off camera to the right, meaning inside that parking garage, you know that's a problem for them because they were off camera in the parking garage for only seconds. Only seconds. Not long enough for Relly to have happened to him what he described happened to him.
This case comes down to one issue and one issue only. They are saying it's a prop gun. If it's a prop gun, he is absolutely not guilty of the charges. Not because he didn't pull it, not because he didn't fire it, but because under the law, if it's not a real firearm, it's not a violation of Penal Code Section 245, and it's not the personal use of a firearm. Now, here's what's interesting. Now, again, I'm going to explain this in more detail. Mr. Tacopina got up here. He says, absolutely. Hey, listen, he did not have a real gun. It's a prop gun. But it's still self-defense. That's not true. If it is a prop gun, there is no self-defense. And the only way you can get to self-defense in this case is you have to find, one, that it was a real gun, which it clearly wasn't a real gun. There's no question there. It was a real gun. The prop gun is a figment of the defense and the witnesses who testified to it.
We, the jury in the above entitled action, find the defendant, Rakeem Mayers, not guilty of...
What a moment there, Kelly, right? Ultimately, the jury sided with the rapper who said he used a prop gun from a music video set, and they found him not guilty.
Still with us, Cannon, Kearney, and Claudia King. Cannon, I'll start with you. I mean, those reactions, those outbursts in the courtroom, judges always say we don't want any reactions. I don't know if the judge said it in this situation, but boy, what a reaction there after that verdict came down.
Definitely, Kelly. You would have thought in the background one of A$AP Rocky's song, Praise the Lord, was being played. But yes, it's very clear that he was ecstatic, that even he had some doubt that he may have been convicted. And so he wanted to show the one person in the world that had held his back, his wife, Rihanna, the love for the support that she provided. Is that normal? No, judges do not want their courtrooms to become circuses. Bailiffs will lock you up and hem you up really quick, but it was understood that the magnitude of this situation was one in which Mr. Rocky needed to get a little favor for his outburst.
Yeah, definitely. And I just want to say really quickly, and obviously these outbursts, because we've been playing them over and over, they were helpful for our collage of things because they've really made for great TV and great moments for 2025.
It gives us something to talk about, right?
Yes.
and Claudia, you know, A$AP walking out of court. He's been acquitted of these charges, and I have to admittedly say, if I was diving into Rihanna's arms, I'd be pretty electrified too, being found not guilty. But I want to ask, what do you think, Claudia, was the pivotal moment that turned this case in his favor? Because for me, and I was just telling Kelly this a couple minutes ago, it was when we saw A$AP Relly's, what he claimed to be his injuries from this gunshot, and they just looked like little scrapes on his knuckles. It looked like he could have just raked his knuckles across the concrete. And I saw that and I was like, 9mm might do a little bit more damage than a couple of scrapes on his knuckles. What was the pivotal moment for you?
Yeah, first I want to say if you are diving into Rihanna's arms, then we might see another charge on ASAP Rocky, so let's not do that. I totally agree with you, though. That was the pivotal moment for me, is looking at these alleged injuries and then just kind of his testimony as a whole. Relly just did not come through. He did not appear to be credible. His story was kind of all over the place. The injuries were non-existent. And I think his testimony as a whole is what led to that not guilty verdict.
Yeah, I definitely think so, too. I mean, credibility, Cannon. I mean, it's important during trials, and if a jury doesn't find somebody credible, then, you know, that's a problem.
Oh, 100%. And you could just see from the back and forth that he was doing with the defense that he wasn't giving himself any ability to have a leg up in this situation. Essentially, the jury saw him just probably in the same light as they saw the defendant. And that's never going to get you the actual, that's never going to get you the verdict that you're looking for the prosecution.
And Claudia, you know, with celebrity trials, whether it's ASAP Rocky, whether it's Diddy that we saw earlier this year, there's an element of celebrity that is in the room. Now, we know juries are supposed to be impartial, but I think there's still something to say for a normal person breathing the same air as a celebrity they've seen on TV and in the magazines for the first time ever. Do you think that played any sort of role in this verdict at all on behalf of the jury?
I don't think it did just because of what we saw from Relly. I mean, that did it on its own. But I think you're right. You know, you do often think that celebrities kind of will have a little bit of a leg up automatically when they step into the courtroom. But here, I just think Relly did such a poor job that that wasn't even a factor.
Absolutely.
Speaking of Diddy, Diddy maybe isn't even on the list of our top trials.
Yeah, surprising, right?
That's a surprising
At least an
one.
honorable mention, right?
Coming up, our #1 moment from 2025.
Now, you might have already guessed it, but what part of Bryan Kohberger's case edged out all the others as our top moment in Court TV in 2025? Stay with us to find out which specific moment from this high-profile case claimed the top spot.
This is the Court TV Podcast.
Are you pleading guilty because you are guilty?
Yes.
And Mr. Kohberger, you understand that by entering the guilty plea in this case, you would be giving up your right to appeal any decision this court made, as well as your sentence?
Yes.
Bryan Kohberger admitted to the murders of 4 University of Idaho students. Kohberger avoided trial and a possible death sentence by pleading guilty to the stabbing deaths of Madison Mogen, Xana Kernodle, Ethan Chapman, and Kaylee Gonsalves. This was in November of 2022.
Now, Kohberger was sentenced to 4 consecutive life sentences, and our #1 moment of 2025 comes from his sentencing hearing, as the family of victim Kaylee Gonsalves spoke directly to her killer.
The world's watching because of the kids, not because of you. Nobody cares about you. You're not worth the time, the effort to be remembered. In time, you will be nothing but 2 initials forgotten to the wind. No visitors, nothing more than initials on an otherwise unmarked tombstone. From this moment, we will forget you. We want to all leave in closing. One last thing. You picked the wrong family, and we're laughing at you on your trip to the pen. That will be today or tomorrow.
We just get creepy, non-expressive stares as you have your team of women defend you. You, in the cloak of darkness, gave each and every one of Kaylee's family members their own lifetime sentence. You, in the cloak of darkness, also took our Maddie Mae from all of us. She was so genuine, caring, polite. She was part of our family. You came in, harmed our children that were younger women than you in their own beds. You're nothing, you're a coward. It's not right that you have received life. I pray that you meet your end in the cloak of darkness, burn in hell.
Don't ever try to convince yourself you mattered just because someone finally said your name out loud. I see through you. You want the truth? Here's the one you'll hate the most. If you hadn't attacked them in their sleep, in the middle of the night, like a pedophile, Kaylee would have kicked your ass. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're nothing. May you continue to live your life in misery. You are officially the property of the state of Idaho, where your fellow inmates are anxiously awaiting your arrival. But it's okay, because they're there to help you. Hell will be waiting. Quick message from our youngest daughter. Aubrey wanted to say, you may have received A's in high school and college, but you're going to be getting big D's in prison.
Thank you.
All right, still with us, Cannon Kearney and Claudia King. And Cannon, I want to start with you. You know, Kohberger got this plea deal. The bulk of the plea deal was, you know, the fact that he avoids the death penalty. Doesn't go to trial, but he is not sentenced to death. Now, I promise I don't mean to be morbid here with this question, Cannon, but what is the death penalty for if not for a case like this one? Why did the prosecution spare this killer's life when 4 other families won't be able to see their loved ones again?
So I believe the reason why, Cody, is because the prosecution, the court system wanted to save the community a long, drawn-out trial. It's clear that Mr. Kohberger had a team that was ready to fight, and even though he would have lost, we would have continued to play this over and over and over into the new year of 2026. That is not what this family needed. That is not what this community needed. Idaho probably hasn't even been talked about this much since the potato. So in general, it is not what this community wanted to see, and so they pushed for him to plea, and he did, and so he saved this community a lot of heartache and pain by going ahead and going on to prison with Big D.
Yeah, this trial would have gone on for months and months. When we were prepping for it here at Court TV, we were talking about maybe 3 months for certain, someone being out there in Idaho. Yeah, an entire crew, but then it was resolved, and it was shocking, and that it ended up being resolved in the way it was, just because so much planning had gone into covering it, and the families just were, a lot of them, very surprised at what took place. Claudia, what's been your take on what took place? Obviously, our big moment here for 2025, that case being resolved.
I fully support this winning the big moment and what you pick to be the big moment and giving the families the opportunity to get some closure. You know, this is the only way that they have. This is the only opportunity that they would have to speak to Kohberger. And I'm really proud of them for taking that opportunity and really standing up for themselves. I think it was amazing. I know that some people had issues with a few of the things that were said, but these people suffered the worst tragedy imaginable. So I think that we can give them a little grace in what they said to him. And honestly, you know, I was hoping for the death penalty as well, but we have heard from Brian Kohberger and him complaining about the bananas and the people yelling at him. So it sounds like he is suffering a fate worse than death right now, and that's all we could really hope for.
And Cannon, you know, I kind of want to piggyback off of that. That was kind of leading into my next question, what Claudia was just mentioning there. He won't be seeing the light of day anymore. We've heard, like Claudia was mentioning, those numerous complaints about life behind bars. It's as if he's likely living in a living hell right now. Do you think this is, in a way, justice for these families?
It's justice as best as possible. The American system is not one where everybody's going to be happy with the verdict, but this is one in which prison justice also is something that could be served. And we heard that from one of the family members. Prisoners don't like individuals who mess with children or kids. And obviously here, Mr. Coburner killed 4 children or 4 kids, took them away from their family. So to answer your question, do I believe from what we heard from the families that they thought that this was a great moment in which he's going to not be killed or not have the death penalty and be able to stay in prison for the rest of their lives? No. But is this one in which the community can lay their hat on and say that this gentleman will never be out? He will never be able to try to do some type of true crime type of scenario in which he's killing people to get away? Yes. And so that's the way that justice goes in America.
Yeah, I mean, this was a guarantee, and so there were no surprises. There was no long, drawn-out trial. And let's be honest, going through a lot of it would have been, you know, boring. They'd have to go through so many different details. So it would have
DNA stuff and everything.
It would have dragged on, and so the family was able to come out there and really speak and be strong, as both of you had mentioned. Thank you so much, Claudia, for joining us, as well as Cannon. Appreciate it. Great to see both of you. And we just showed you the top 10 moments on Court TV.
This podcast is a production of Court TV. Go to CourtTV.com for more content, trials on demand, and to find out how to watch Court TV in your area.